Oh, and you'll always be the only one for me. I am you can be sure I will never let you down. When you need, I'll be around. And darling, you'll always be the only one for me. Heaven made you such a we are falling in love. We are falling in love. We are falling in love. With you, with you, with you.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.
What's going on, good people? Welcome once again to another week, another day, another episode of the Tipping Point Morning Show. It is your boy, Mr. Just Ask Joe, and my host, my brother from another mother, brother John Ya Esoteric Concepts. How you doing, family?
I am awesome this morning, man. How about yourself, brother?
Oh man, you know what? I'm good. You know, and I'm one of those people, once again, man, I'm gonna say I'm good, even if I ain't good, because eventually I'm gonna be good. I got to fake it till I make it. And
that's right, man.
That's something that is important, man. I think people don't realize how important that is. Fake it till you make it. Because your mind, if you tell your mind you're good, if you tell yourself that you're good, and you keep injecting good things around you, and you don't run away from your problems, but you go ahead with life and fulfill yourself with amazing things, guess what? You will eventually be good, and things will work out for the best. Because that is that's the way this world is set up. That's the way this matrix is set up, brother. That's what it is. You know, I got to interject my own program.
That's right, brother. No, that's right, man. It's been a hell of a week, developing week. New information is constantly coming out. And definitely, man, I'm glad to be on this side of the fence. And we're going to talk a little bit about the vaccine and the information that's coming out. I think it's very important. And I want to start by saying, listen, you can only internalize those things you are already in agreement with. those things you're not in agreement with, no matter how much facts someone brings you, you will not internalize the message.
What? Why? Hey, when you speak on that, what is cognitive dissonance?
It is the form where you hear some information and you can only weigh it by what you already know. And so if it differs from what you already know, what your brain would do is reject the information no matter how much.
And that's what you already know or what you already believe.
Correct. It goes in inside what you believe. So here's the thing: you got those who are pro-vax for many reasons, and I continue to say it's based on fear. And when you have a fear compound that's released into your body, you are not thinking rational. That's period. I've talked to many people. I'm on Clubhouse with now the doctors, and here's the thing: there's a whole host of doctors that are speaking out against this, but because you have already set your mind to one side, you don't want to hear this other side. And here's the thing that's very dangerous for a lot of people. A lot of people, because they've already decided this, and more information that is still coming out. Listen, Pfizer just came out, they're coming out with a pill now, right? And so what is happening is that you don't understand that you are the experiment. And here's what I want to bring out. This is very important. Dr. Christina Parks, very well, great scientist in the field of vaccines and viruses, spoke out last week or the week before last, and spoke in front of the Senate or the Congress, I believe, speaking out against it, that this is not right. You got Dr. Brad, who's also part of the mRNA vaccine. You got another gentleman who is Dr. Robert Malone, who invented the mRNA. Right? The technology of the spike protein. He's telling it was not ready to be put in humans, right? And so now you have the American frontline doctors called American Apartheid. These doctors have came together and they are putting together lawsuits against the government, pushing back all these vaccines until more studies, the mandate, until more studies are done. Here's what we're doing. We're rushing into something that's not a vaccine. Here's what I want to ask all the listeners. This is very important, and I want you to go to the CDC and look this information up for yourself. And it's plain and simple. We ain't got to be doctors to understand what a vaccine is. A vaccine is something that is supposed to prevent the spread or help you be able to fight your immune system to fight against it. Now check this out. If I get this vax, can I stop wearing a mask? According to the CDC, nope. You got to still wear a mask, right? So check this out. If I get the vax, does it stop the transmission? According to the CDC, nope. It doesn't stop the transmission. If I get the vax, will I be contagious to others? According to the CDC, yep. You can be contagious to others. If I get the vax, how long would it last? CDC says we don't know. Why? Because it's under an experimental stages. That's why they don't know. So you are the experiment, period. And so here's the thing. With all this information that's out there, I've talked to people and I've been on Clubhouse with doctors. We've been discussing this stuff and I'm chanting in with them. And here's the thing. I hear people that have taken the vaccine for various reasons. Some people taking it because they wanted the right to travel. They wanted to be able to travel. But that didn't have nothing to do with your health, right? People are taking it because of fear. Oh, I want to stop this, or I want to prevent that. And so on the show that we was just listening to earlier, my dear brother Malcolm, I love that brother, been around him for a long time, and he made a statement that was grossly wrong when he made a statement about Dr. Kidd. Dr. Kidd does not know nothing about vaccines. That's not her studies whatsoever. And more important, we had her on this show, and the only reason why she took it because she has an underlying illness. She didn't take it based on the study. She did not take it based on knowing anything of what's in the vaccine, nor about the mRNA, nor do you know anything about the nanotechnology that is used to carry this spike protein inside your cell. This is an experiment. And so what it is, basically, I'm one to say, I'll wait, I'll chill. I ain't in no rush to taking nothing, right? I'll let the experiment go on because I'm watching you. I'm watching you develop it, right? So you're helping them. And here's another question: if you take the vaccine and it causes you some type of side effects, guess what? Nobody's responsible. Nobody. You can't sue nobody, so you kind of stuck. So while this is still developing, guess what they're saying? Oh, nope, you got to take another vaccine. Nope, you got to take a booster. Nope, here's another burn that's out, right? And now now Pfizer, if you can Google this, Pfizer now saying, hey, they creating a pill. Now, here's what's interesting, brother. Why didn't they ever create a pill a long time ago? You know why? Because if you put a vaccine in a pill, your stomach acid will destroy it.
Exactly.
That's why you gotta put it into your arm, right? And so it's the science is not there, my friend. It is not there.
Bro, it's you know what's there is common sense. I'm sorry, but I keep mulling over the idea of common sense and where has it gone. People are not using they are figuring this thing out as they go along.
Exactly.
Shot number 3. Come on, bro. They figuring it out as they go along. And we, yet again, as we blindly vote Democrat for over 50 years without any critical thinking skills, yet again, as we blindly want to just jump into experiments and whatnot because we scared massa. Yet again, I don't get us as a people. I love my people, but I don't get us. I'll be honest with you. I don't get us. And it's interesting to, I heard some callers on that show as well. The Community Connection show, fantastic show, by the way. And I heard some callers call in and they talked about, how they are not going to take it. So there are some people out there in our community.
I know it.
And
yes.
and they brought out some real common sense things. But what I did hear, even on the pro-vaccine side, was a lot of disinformation. All right. So talking about the fact that they've been studying this vaccine has been around for years and years and years. That's not true. The coronavirus itself, the human coronavirus, has been studied since the mid-1960s. And again, COVID-19 is yet another strain of it. And then another thing that I heard, and so again, just remember they again, this is new studies for this vaccine. People keep saying, oh, it's going to go away. It's going to go away if we can get everybody back. Folks, it's a virus. Do you know what viruses do? Viruses mutate every single year. Okay, it happens. Why? Because we have winter. Winter time comes, and that is a degradation of vitamin D, which is a lack of sunlight, right? So we're not getting as much of it. So think about the fact that they told you to stay inside anyway during the summer when you needed that vitamin D. And think about the fact that they're treating people with vitamin D supplements in the hospital as well, but they told you to stay inside and not get the vitamin D, right? So again, this is yet a situation where I don't, common sense plays in my mind. Now here's someone says, what is the answer? The answer to me, if this was really about the people, get the government to focus on teaching people how to focus on their health. People keep talking about personal responsibility. It's your personal responsibility to go out and get the shot. No, it's your personal responsibility to focus on your health.
That's right. That's right.
How can a person like myself be like many others, just like myself, and many others who have rid their own bodies of disease simply by taking on that personal responsibility? I'm not the only one out there that's done that. People have rid themselves of cancer, stroke, heart disease, all type of illnesses because they took on that personal responsibility. Folks, this vaccine and all this stuff is the lazy way out. And to me, you're taking a bigger chance than focusing on your health, which to me has been proven. And that's with certainty. Again, what did Hippocrates say? Let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. Folks, you got to wake up and start figuring out things for yourself, because that is the true answer right there.
Well, here's one of the things that is the answer is to know that this is not a vaccine. In no way, in shape, and form, the character of what they're doing this is not a vaccine. Number one, It does not cure none of it. And you can go to the CDC. So the answer would be not take the vaccine. That's the answer. Don't take the vaccine. Worry about your health. Do not allow these people to experiment on you. Everything I just listed proves this is not a vaccine. This is an experiment, $1 billion experiment, and you are signing up for that experiment. And somebody's making billions of dollars off you. So the answer is sit back, chill out, take care of your health, and just watch this shit unfold. Oh, excuse me. Got a little passionate there.
It's all good. I don't think we tied to LLV that tight right now. So we all
okay,
good. But with that in mind, folks, I'm gonna just say, personal choice. Okay, that should be where it's left at. Those that want to take it, go take it. Those that don't
take it.
Don't take it.
Exactly.
That's my beef with it is the fact that they're trying to push this into something that has to be mandated. And then the non-vaccines are like, oh, we got, and then even on the show this morning, listening to the brothers on Community Connection is sitting there talking about getting the vaccine. Yo, people are still getting sick that have the vaccine. Okay, and they're saying if you get the vaccine, you wouldn't get no. And then how can you pinpoint whether this person or that person gave somebody the illness? They talking about 14 days, this, that, the other. You got to wait this to see that. You can't pinpoint that this person now. If you're going to tell me that somebody's grandmama been sitting in the house for a month and then somebody went over there, a family member, one lone person went over there, and that person ended up having COVID, and then the grandma got sick and then died, which was a scenario that they talked about that supposedly happened. Then that's the only way that I'm gonna believe that, okay, that one person did. But if you got multiple different people around this, that, and you can't pinpoint it, and one of them got tested and came up sick, you can't pinpoint that it was that person that had it because the tests are not even that great. But
But here's what's interesting, Joe. Before we do that, here's what's interesting. And so this is the new paradigm, and with new things happening. And so what we have is people who are pulling their kids out of school. They're creating their own businesses. They are resisting and finding out other ways that they can survive this and creating new things. Right. So here's what's happening. We have two powerhouse sisters getting ready to come on to talk about homeschooling. And to some of you women who want to pull your kids out of public school because of what they're doing to your kids and what they're teaching your kids, this is going to be a great show for you. So who do we have?
Is this our guest on line one here?
Yeah.
Hey, this is brother health coach Tapper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, look.
No, we're waiting on our guest. If our guest ain't called, the sister, the homeschool. Jay, do we have a sister do we have Katrina on?
Katrina went through last year.
I guess it's not. Well, real quick, go ahead and drop a quick info or whatever it is you'd like to say, Pops.
Hey, look, we're focusing on don't take the vaccine. Forget about that. What was it you were doing before the vaccine came along? We're so geared for conflict. We had Black Lives Matter before that, and there was something before that. And there's always a conflict. But John Yard, what you were talking about before the COVID came is you were talking about people's health, helping people to be healthy and stay healthy. That's what we should be focusing on. We've had vaccines that we've had to take since we were kids. We had to get vaccinated to go to school, and there's people that don't do that, and that's fine, but the vaccines have been here since I was a child, and they're going to be here for a long time. So let's talk about helping people to stay healthy, even if they have taken the vaccine. I took the vaccine. I still take precautions. I wear a mask just like I wear socks. It's part of my clothing, and I wear sunglasses to protect my eyes from the sun. So, we put a lot of energy in this conflict. We should put the same energy into helping people to restore their health and what they need to do. Because look at what's happened. People are washing their hands. Can you imagine that people were so filthy that they would go to the bathroom and didn't wash their hands, and now it's taking COVID to get people to wash their freaking hands after they do their duty in the bathroom. So there's a lot of good coming out of this COVID.
Oh, no doubt about it. You're right. There's a lot of good coming out of it. There are people who are creating their own business, just like we got these sisters coming on here talking about kids pulling out their kids out of schools because they don't want to take the vaccine. But here's the thing. There's a narrative out there. Do we just shut up and turn and put our head under the rock because there's one narrative? So do you go to those doctors who are pushing this vaccine and tell them, hey, don't do that. Let's just take care of our health? We are advocating about health. We are advocating on what you can do to take care of your health, whether you took the vaccine or not. We are advocating, don't take that vaccine, but take care of your health. You know why? Because I'm telling people, do not be a part of this experiment. This is not a vaccine, and they're proving that this is not a vaccine. Those of you who have taken it, you've taken it under misunderstanding, and you took it out of fear. And so no one can tell me that you didn't take it out of fear. And when you went into that fear, you went into survival mode. And when you go into survival mode, your common sense goes out the door. And so if you were to just sit and wait, I know you got to be concerned with this new information. What are you going to do? Turn a blind eye and deny it? There's a whole host of doctors that are coming out against it. So what side do you on? I side with the doctors who are against it. You apparently side with the doctors who want to take it. So who's right? What makes your right of your doctors over my right and my doctors? It doesn't. So I choose not to take it because I'm about my health. Huh? Everyone took it out of fear. If you didn't take it out of fear, you took it out of blindness. Everybody took it out of the fear of getting COVID.
I took it consciously. I knew what I was doing, and I had no fear. I don't have fear now.
Give me the reason why you took it. Just because they said take it? Give me a reason. Why did you take this, put this thing in your arm that you can't recall?
I took it because I worked in the school, and in order to work around the kids, they suggested that I take it. So I took it.
Boom, there it is. If you didn't take it, what would happen?
Nothing. They didn't force me to take it. I could have not taken it.
But you took it in the safety of what, right? What safety did you take it for? To prevent what?
Safety?
Yeah, prevent. Did you take it to prevent anything?
I took it hoping that it would prevent something.
Boom, there it is right there. And instead, what people fail to do is do more study. And is this a vaccine? And it's not a vaccine according to CDC. Everything I just listed, will it stop you from wearing a mask? CDC, no. Does it stop you from transmitting or receiving it? CDC says no. Does it stop you from being contagious? CDC says no. This is not a vaccine. Go look at what a vaccine is, and this is not a vaccine. This is clearly an experiment.
Okay, John. Okay, let's say it's not a vaccine. Let's say it's an experiment. Okay, if you want to be part of this experiment, then take the vaccine. I take vitamin C. I don't know if that's doing me any good. I believe it is. I take vitamin D. I don't know if that's doing me any good. I believe it is. But I'm not going to revolt over this vitamin C or vitamin D.
That's totally different. The government ain't pushing vitamin C on you. So you cannot use vitamin C as some type of gaslighting. They're not pushing vitamin C. They're not going around telling people if you don't take this vitamin C, you can't go to work. So don't use the vitamin C thing.
That's literally the reason why we speak the way we speak. I mean, again, we talk about the health value and all of that. And I mean, that's always our underlying speech. And even, on John Yah Esoteric Concepts Show, there's a plethora of health and wellness information that's even more specific to different ailments and diseases and things of that nature. Yet again, I think the reason why we talk the way we talk against it is because I personally believe, and I believe John believes the same, that people are being duped and bamboozled, and it seems as though there's an ulterior motive behind it, and that's where the problem lies, is the fact that it's seemingly an ulterior motive behind why they're. I mean, the government is paying these vaccine companies the money. They're going and they're printing up a bunch of freaking money that is going to have to be paid for later on down the road by somebody, and they're paying these vaccine companies, these pharmaceutical companies, billions of dollars. You had what, I think 9 or 10 new billionaires last year created in the pharmaceutical industry off of this stuff. You know, I mean, we're dealing with poverty all over and things of that nature. Yet, I mean, these pharmaceutical companies are getting richer and richer. It seems as though there's an ulterior motive, and that's why we talk the way we talk. Yes,
Joe,
sir.
93% of what we hear every day is bamboozled. We're being programmed by the government. They control commercials. Everything that we see, billboards and all this, it's programming. You know, 3% is maybe conscious thought. So to think that this is, we're being bamboozled with this, yes, I believe we are.
But then there's our reason right there. There's our reason why we push back, because we are being bamboozled. That is exactly you just proved our point, why we are pushing back, because we are being bamboozled.
But we still talk health and wellness. We still focus on helping people with health and wellness talk. So that's still the conversation. Yet we interject.
You remember they asked Mother Teresa. They invited her to a rally against war, and she turned them down. She said, now, when you have a rally for peace, I'll be there. In other words, you focus your energy on the negative. No, focus it on the positive, and then call them.
Yeah, we are focusing on the positives. The positive point is that do not take this vaccine that is positive. Do not allow yourself to be part of an experiment that is positive, the vibration we're pushing out. And I know, because I'm a part of a lot of doctors on Clubhouse that are talking very the same thing. I even posted about the American apartheid, the medical apartheid, where these frontline doctors, these are doctors, MDs, these are not some chiropractors under the rock. These are medical doctors. These are scientists. All of a sudden, these Nobel Peace Prize scientists are now coons, or they're not coons, but they are what? Crazies and quacks, because they're against it at first. But before this, they were the greatest doctors. I just named a couple of them. Do you know Dr. Christine Parks, right? Are you aware of what she studies and what she spoke out against it, right? What about Dr. Bryant? Dr. Bryant, who's part of the mRNA, he's speaking against it. What about the doctor who created the technology? He's speaking against it and saying that the government is using this too soon. What do? Turn your back and act like he didn't say that because the government didn't back him up? It don't even make sense. Hey, Jay, do we have Christine Williams call in?
Gentleman calling.
We waiting on Kristen Williams, homeschool teacher.
Is he a female or male?
She's a female.
No, he's not. She hasn't called yet.
Okay.
All right. Cool. So as we continue, is there another person on the line?
You got another caller waiting.
Okay, absolutely. And remember, folks, again, 502-776-1350. Call in. Pops, I appreciate you. We're going to try to pull you in on the after show.
All right, man. Bye.
All right. All right, Carlo, who is here with us on the line? Welcome to the Tipping Point Morning Show.
Thank you. I got a question to ask your guest. And if he doesn't believe in the vaccine, how come so many people are still dying? Matter of fact, they're dying worse. I guess I believe the propaganda, because I've taken both my shots back in February, and I'm fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. But the Republicans, they took away Bashir's powers, and now Kentucky is all their ICU beds are filled. People are dying more now than they did before the pandemic started. It's okay to have your belief not to take it, but I think it's totally irresponsible to all the families that have death due to COVID. If you don't have anything better to offer to slow the death down, or to the folks that are dealing and suffering with COVID right now, then it's just a lot of hot air.
Here's a question. Here's a question. Why is it? Oh, the caller hung up. Okay. Well, I want to speak to that real quick, because in what I'm seeing, more people are dying, and in the initial first studies coming out as the vaccine was introduced, it was a matter of people who were vaccinated. That even the studies that came out, they said people who got the shot that were not vaccinated were actually better off against COVID than people who did get the shot and never got COVID. So people who got COVID and got over it and didn't get the shot were better off. Why? Because of the antibodies that your body produces, right? So with that in mind, here's what I look at as common sense. You introduce a vaccine, right? A bunch of people have taken it already, right? Millions of people have taken the vaccine, but people are getting sicker even more. And the initial thought of this vaccine was it's supposed to prevent you from getting it and prevent you from passing it on. Now they changed it, and it's, well, we're going to prevent you from, it'll actually prevent you from dying from the COVID now. So they totally switched from prevent you from passing it on and prevent you from getting it to now prevent you from dying from it, because you can still get it and you can still transmit it. And they actually use the word, what is the word I forget, what was it? They called them
super
spreaders. Yeah, they call people with the vaccine super spreaders now. All right. So, yet and still, the solution, as we focus on a solution, is to focus on your health. God knew what God was doing. All right, folks. So let's dive in with religion. God knew what God was doing when God created the human. Okay, so if we want to go that route and talk creation theory, this, that, and the other, God knew what God was doing when God created the human. Or let's talk aliens. The aliens, when they created the humans, they knew what they were doing. Okay, and those forces greater than ours knew what they were doing when they created the humans. Right. So we have everything we need. You just got to focus on giving your body the fuel, the necessary fuel that it needs to exponentially work well in abundance.
Joe, real quick, Sister Christine said that she's having phone problems, and I sent her the link to come on with us live. We also have somebody that called in.
She gonna come on our after show?
Two callers.
We got two callers. Okay.
All right. Welcome to the Tipping Point Morning Show. Go ahead and speak up.
How are you?
Fantastic.
Very
How
good.
you doing?
I was listening to gospel radio one time, and I was listening to a medical minister.
It's your buddy.
A medical. Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, I was listening to a medical minister, and this medical minister gave the true definition of a pharmacist. If you, I guess an image of a pharmacist is a person that prepares the medication prescribed by the doctor. Is that a good image of a pharmacist?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay, very good. The definition of a pharmacist is a person that practices witchcraft and dabbles in poisons. This dictionary goes back to before 1970, before they changed some of the information into Webster's dictionary. So the definition of a pharmacist is a person that practices witchcraft and dabbles in poisons. So if you can run with that true information or definition, along with today's definition of pharmacy, that'll give you the answer of what's going on. These are people that practice in witchcraft and dabbles in poisons, and we are being poisoned. Don't you think so?
You are absolutely right, sir.
Hello?
Medicine in this day and age, Western medicine, they are practicing medicine. We are being poisoned. And I agree with you. So, Carlo, thank you for calling in.
Devil is poison.
We're going to take that stuff and we are going to run with it right to the finish line. Caller, we got another caller on the line.
Who else we got on?
Welcome to the Tipping Point Morning Show. Caller, speak up and say your truth. Caller, are you there?
Okay, so right now we're looking for Layla, the educator, and Christine Williams to come on in, please. That's what we're looking for, so we can finish this conversation.
But real quick, before we go anywhere, I just want to give a big shout out to healthdaddywow.net. Right? Is that it? Healthdaddywow.net. Our other brother from another mother. All right, folks, y'all got to catch up with this, brother. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a conscious effort to get back out there this week as well. Because number one, I need some of those seeded watermelons that he's got. He's like the only person in the area close enough to get some seeded watermelons from. I don't know where he gets them. I think he said something about a farmer or something brings them by. But I'm going there to get some seeded watermelons, not the fake unseeded watermelons that are sold in Wally World. I want the real joints, because those are the real ones that's gonna do what it do when you eat that. But again, healthdaddywow.net. He's right off Ralph Avenue, folks. Look him up, Health Daddy LLC or Health Daddy Wow LLC on Facebook. You can check him out there as well. But again, healthdaddywow.net. Whether you are all across the world under a rock, you can order from healthdaddywow.net. And best believe, hey, if I was you, I would ask for an autograph when you order online. It's to tell Frank to sign your supplements and send them to you. But again, healthdaddywow.net. Also, sayababa.com. That's SYABABA.com, baby. Again, for some reason, when you say sayababa.com and you spell it out like that, you just want to put baby on the end of it. SYABABA, baby. You got to hit up sayababa.com. They are amazing, and they have products in over 400 locations. Folks, this is the Incense Man in the tri-state area, owned by yours truly, brother John Yah, Esoteric Concepts. All right.
Yes, sir.
Now, we got a caller on the line, and hopefully it's two callers. I don't know, but one caller, two caller. It don't matter how many callers, but we love you for calling in. Whom are we speaking with right here on the Tipping Point Morning Show?
Hello, it's Empress Layla.
Hey,
yes,
Empress Layla, the educator, Hampton. John was afraid it was his buddy calling in again. The brother from that just called it. How you doing, Layla?
Y'all got fans. If I was any better, I would be you.
Talk to us, Layla. Listen, we was just discussing, of course, about the vaccine and everything. And one of the things that came out of this whole pandemic is people with new ideas, new businesses to increase their business. And tell us, so in that sense, tell us what has been going on with you, and tell us about what you're doing and what you're creating new right now because of all this stuff that's going on.
And for those that don't know, make sure they know what it is that you do.
Yes.
All right. Well, first of all, brothers, I want to thank you for inviting me on the show. I'm kind of like you guys. I'm very controversial. A lot of people don't want to hear the truth. But what we have to do is we have to bring the light in these times of darkness. And so that's pretty much what I'm doing with my homeschool academy, Liberated Minds, formerly Kaumba Youth Liberation Academy. Brothers, all praises to the universe. I have been in operation for 8 years.
Woo!
I am a former public and private school teacher. I walked away. I saw the damage that it was doing to our babies, and I'm an entrepreneur anyway. I just come from that bloodline. We've always had our own businesses. My great-grandmother, she owned a grocery store. She was a bootlegger. She made moonshine. But with that being said, it is in me to create. And I actually was doing a disservice to my ancestors, teaching our babies in the public school. So I stepped out on faith. I reached my tipping point, guys, and I stepped out on faith, and I started my own school. And what I like about Kentucky, you can say whatever you want about the Commonwealth, but one thing I do like about Kentucky is we have pretty lax homeschooling laws. And in Kentucky, homeschools are private schools. So I am the owner and director of a private school, brothers. And again, I did not have any formal business training. What this is, brothers, is I just use my innate gifts and talents and abilities to create my own school. And it's very important at this age that we start to teach our own children. And so let me go ahead and get into my business, which is children. I do not have products, family, that I put on the shelf. I have live children, star seeds. I have the future. And the enemy knows that he can't get to us, brother. So what do? They try to get to our youth, and they try to attack their minds. And so what I'm doing is I'm bringing in a new consciousness. I want to elevate and teach parents, hey, we don't have to send our children to the public school. There are alternatives. We can do like we did back in the day and teach our own babies. Because y'all were talking about Martin Luther King earlier. Martin Luther King woke up. He said he had fear. He was integrating his people into a burning house. So that's why he was assassinated. Martin Luther King woke up and he knew integration was not for us. And that comes to the education of our babies as well. It is time that we start teaching our own children. And it doesn't even matter the name. It could be a W.E.B. Du Bois. It could be, what is that curriculum looking like? What does the curriculum look like? What is it teaching our babies? Is it teaching our babies to think, to do for self? Is it teaching our babies that you are the creator, having a human experience? See, that's what we have to do. We have to go back to our ancestral ways and teach our babies the truth, because all they're doing in the public schools are teaching our babies to memorize basic information. They're not teaching them to master the basics. They're not teaching them that we created mathematics, sciences, God consciousness, everything. So that's what I do, brother. It's my job to wake up the parents, to give them a better way and let them know that, hey, we have to stop sending our precious possessions over to our enemies. And we have to take that responsibility and accountability as parents, mothers. We are the first teachers. I couldn't imagine putting my 5-year-old child on a school bus and letting him be gone for 8 hours. Oh, no, brother. Oh, no. So that's a little bit about me. Do y'all have any questions? I really have a lot of knowledge I would love to share, but it's just a little 30. I'm on 30 minutes, right? So I can't, say everything. But is there anything that I missed that I should cover?
Well, here's one thing. I want to ask you about support. Where do you get support from? Is anybody out there supporting you? And how can we support Layla, the educator, in what you're trying to do? Because I believe in you, and I support you. I've been backing you since I met you. So basically, what can we do to get you support? Because that's a very important thing that we need to do.
Absolutely. And see, this is the thing, brother. And this is why a lot of people get too comfortable, because they're getting a steady paycheck. They go into a job and they get paid every 2 weeks. When you're an entrepreneur, when you step out on faith, when you create your own, you don't worry about. Let me try to be careful with my words, because you got to have money. But what we have to do is we have to tap into the universe, and so we have to change our thoughts. We live in a universe of abundance. And so what I have to do is I have to tap into that abundance and change my thoughts. But with that being said, I started my school with no funding. Okay? I didn't have any money saved up. I started my business on faith with the thought. We are actually an independent school, which means all my funding is from independent private donations. So my school is owned and directed and controlled by me. So
Awesome.
yes, this is a school for us, for the community, and I need your support. I'm actually right now working on my 501c3 status. Because at the end of the day, my school is a nonprofit, and there is funding out there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm getting ready to tap into these resources, okay? So in a couple of months, I'm going to be 501c3 status, and that way I'll actually be able to get more funding to sustain and maintain the school.
Hey, Layla, real quick, just to help inform more people about what they may or may not be thinking about homeschooling and the education that kids get in homeschooling, what would you say to a person to help them understand the value in what you're teaching in homeschooling? Are they going to be learning, what are the kids learning in homeschooling?
Oh, wow. Great question, brother. Let me tell you this. When I first started out let me just go back. I was a private teacher in St. Matthew. And I had an incident where a parent didn't want me to teach her child because I was melanated. I was the only melanated teacher, in which that parent didn't know I was also the most educated teacher in there. And I was actually the best teacher in there. All the students wanted to be in my class. So with that being said, y'all know me, I'm very insubordinate. So I gave them my 2 weeks notice and I resigned. So when I left, a parent sought me out and she was like, my son has not been the same. She said, I pulled him out. I'm going to homeschool him. I'm like, homeschool? What's that? She said, I asked him to pick a teacher and he picked you. So for 5 years, family, I was a private homeschool teacher in Oldham County in Prospect. This was before I became a mom and had my son, but she moved me in her home. I lived in her base. I lived in a $1.3 million home for 5 years, educating a Caucasian child. I don't even want to tell y'all how much she paid me, but she paid me so much that I was able to use that money to invest in my homeschool academy. Because tell me any Black mothers that can homeschool, because most of us are working. Because of the socioeconomic status, most Black moms, most Black families cannot homeschool because why? Both parents have to work, because again, it comes down, it's not about race, it's about class, y'all. It's about money, economics. That's why most of us are not homeschooling, because we gotta work. And who's gonna babysit the children? The public schools. So again, we have to get out of that, and we have to teach our own babies. So I never knew anything about homeschooling until my parent invited me into her home to be her son's private teacher for 5 years. So that's how I found out about homeschooling. And to take it a little further for you, most Ivy League schools prefer homeschool students. Why? Homeschool students are disciplined. That means we know how to act. At my homeschool, we teach our babies to live based off the laws of Mayai. We're teaching our babies to be righteous. That's the problem. Our babies aren't being taught, hey, that's your brother, that's your sister, we family. We don't kill. We don't steal. That's the problem, brother. So again, I went out and started my own school for us. So for my mothers that have to work, so my mothers that want to homeschool, my mothers that won't to get away from the public school. I have the solution for you. I design curriculum. At my school, all my students learn chess. In 2019, JCPS, they let our team participate in their chess tournament. We came in and won first place.
Wow.
So not only am I teaching our babies to do for self, I'm teaching them to think, to create, brother.
Okay. That's what we need. More free thinkers.
Speaking of curriculum, real quick, speaking of curriculum, by the time the children get to me, they cannot read on grade level. They cannot perform basic math. And I mean addition, subtraction. They can't multiply, divide. And it doesn't matter what field, what career you go into. You need to know how to add and subtract. You need to be able to read. So what this system has done, unfortunately, it has our babies not even liking school. So I spend the majority of my job trying to get my babies to like school. Try to convince them, to persuade them that, hey, it's cool to read. We have to change the norm and make it cool to be a scholar. Put the balls down. We have enough entertainers. We need more thinkers.
Yeah. We need inventors. We need scientists. We need mathematicians. We need all that.
Math and science. Yes, and I'm actually transforming my school into a school of data science. I'm actually finishing up coursework for Google Data Analytics. So I'm actually going to be turning my academy into a school for data science. I'm going to be teaching my babies data analytics, coding, website design, how to create apps. All of our babies right now, well, they're in school right now, but if they wasn't in school, what would they be doing?
That's right.
Playing video games. What I do with Liberated Minds, I teach my babies, why don't you create a video game? Why don't you create these apps?
Man.
So I'm just here to wake our people up, to remind our parents who we are. It's time to restore greatness to the world, and we have to do that by going back to our ancestral ways. Our babies are being programmed. You cannot send your babies to the enemy and then be surprised when they come home acting like them.
Oh,
that's
facts.
What's going on right now. We are taking on the characteristics of our oppressor.
Facts.
As we mutilate our own in our own communities, we are taking on.
Yes.
There you go. So
listen, I know that for a fact. And she is. Yeah, one of the things I love about Layla is when she gets up there and she gets to speaking, it's very interesting when she resonates. Because here's the thing, we got black people and we can speak all that black talk we want to talk. And then last question I ask is, what school your kids going to? And they said, man, they going to public school. You can't talk to me about black stuff if that's the case. But Layla, let me ask you this question: are you also consulting young women who are interested? Do you have a way that they can reach out to you so they may want to, somebody may be listening, may want to know how can they homeschool? What a lot of people fear not knowing how the school system works, not knowing how to file the paperwork and everything. And I know, Layla, you got that. Are you consulting parents and they can reach out to you to help them to homeschool?
Absolutely, brother. I am so glad that you asked me that. I'm actually stepping my game up. Again, I've been doing this for 8 years, so I do consider myself to be a pioneer.
That's
I do consider myself to be an expert. I am someone, family, that you can call, and I can answer any questions that you have about homeschooling. The process is really, really easy. I can even, like I did for, John can tell you, I can even send you the homeschooling letter to JCPS. But what I found from teaching I've been teaching now for about 20 years. But what I found out, brothers, is that it's really, really hard to educate a child when the child is only educated at school. So with that being said, I am going to make it more of my purpose to have more workshops for parents, because a lot of these parents, brother, they cannot teach what they don't know. So because they've been taught by our oppressors as well. So yes, parents, those of you that are new to homeschooling, those of you that have questions or concerns, feel free to give me a call. Also, too, I'm a liaison. If you need me to come up to the public schools and put my suit on, I wear my dashiki every day, but if you need me to come up to the public schools and be an advocate for your child, I will do that, because I want to say this, because even though I'm about teaching my own, I'm an advocate for homeschooling, that does not mean I don't love my children in the public school. I support my teachers. It is not you. It is the system. So at the end of the day, I do not want to create any division. At the end of the day, it's all love, and it takes a village. So if your child is in the public schools and you got some questions, call me. I can help you too. Let me go ahead and give y'all my number. It's area code 502-276-5873. 502-276-5873. I design curriculums, math, science, language arts, every subject. We don't call it history. We call it our story. We teach civics, because we want our babies to be competent, productive citizens at the end of the day. You can also email me, liberatedmindshomeschool@gmail.com. September the 20th is going to be our first day of classes. Woo! For our fall semester, but for parents that want to come out, we are having our open house next Friday, September the 10th. So if y'all want to come out and find out how to be the change, because you are the change, and it starts with us, and we can do it ourselves.
That's beautiful.
Where's your location, and what time is that open house?
We are essentially, I love our location. We are at Launch, Louisville, 816 East Broadway. It is a beautiful building. Open house starts at 7. I'm going to have some light refreshments. So we're just going to be there to drop some jewels at the end of the day, because knowledge is power. However, wisdom is wealth. So where I'm at right now in my life, brothers, I have to apply this knowledge. Application is the key.
Yes.
And I want to say something. Think about it, folks. You got 15 people on the block. All of them work except one or two that don't work throughout the day. Guess what? All those other people, y'all can come together, work with those one or two that aren't working throughout the day, and they can be the one that's homeschooling your kids throughout the day as you go on work. And Layla has the curriculum for you. So this can happen from block to block to block to block. And educate, the ability to support everything is right here. And again, on the after show, we're going to be speaking to yet another homeschooler that you help support as well. So again, you are absolutely, you are someone in the community that people need to seek out when it comes to this, because again, whether we're talking COVID shots and not wanting to get them or not, what we're really talking about is losing control of the education that your kids are getting, not having full control over that, and making sure that your kids are actually getting taught things, that they're actually learning things that make sense in this day and age. So thank you, Layla, for doing what you do.
Brother.
Yes.
And let me say this as well, because even though I have master's degrees, that's why I call myself a master educator. Look, plus I still got this student loan debt, so I'm going to brag about these master's degrees. So with that being said, family, I do not agree. I do not teach to my students that you have to have a degree, that you have to go to college. See, again, this is how we have to change the narrative. Our babies were born for a specific reason. They have a gift. So what we have to do is we have to teach our babies, hey, let's meditate. Our babies practice yoga. Let's go within so we can find out why you are here. I teach our babies to start businesses. Why not start a business at 5, 6, 7? I'm not teaching our babies to go work for somebody else, to be a slave and to conform. We don't assimilate over her.
Hey,
that's
yes.
right.
So I wanted to put that out there, parents. Your babies don't have to go to college.
Absolutely.
Trade is all about skills. We live in a skills-based economy. You gotta have the skills.
Absolutely. And as we're nearing the end of the show, Layla, we appreciate you. I think I might fake my age and come enroll in your school myself, because it sounds like I could use some of that as well. With that being said, Layla, this
you remember
is
that song? I can teach you, but I have to charge.
It's all good. It's all good. I'll be 8 and I will come and be in the school. Just the biggest 8-year-old ever. But Layla, we appreciate you here on the show. Again, that is nearing the end of the Tipping Point Morning Show, folks. We will see you again next week right here on the Tipping Point Morning Show on WLOU 104.7 FM and WLOUonline.com. Peace.
Peace and be well.
7 years of serving in American.
Hey, man, I mean, I'm think about it. I need to enroll in her school for real. Hold on 1 second.
You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John Yeah. Right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.
All right, brother. We said we got the sister Christine Williams.
I think is it Kristen? We're gonna go ahead and bring her on, and she is yet another homeschooling educator with Play Cousins Collective. How you doing, sis?
I'm well. How are y'all? I'm so sorry
Great.
for the earlier.
That's okay. We still gonna build with you.
Thank you.
So
Exactly.
Tell us about what you do and Play Cousins and the difference between Play Cousins and Mozizi and how does that bond together?
So Play Cousins Collective is an African-American family collective, and we're building a village around our children. So we believe that we need to center the most vulnerable and build out. And when we do that, everybody in our community is safe if you focus on whoever is the most vulnerable. And so what that means is we as adults are going to do the work to build out this larger community our children can inherit when they grow up. So when my child goes to the doctor, he sees a Black doctor. When he goes to buy groceries, we go to Opportunity Corner on Saturday and get a big box of groceries, right? And shop with Black business owners. And so when he turns the TV on, it's all of this work that we do as parents to center our children in this world that's been colonized, you know? So that's the work of Play Cousins Collective, is really marking out these spaces, creating directories. We have a membership site. So you join the member site and then you see all these different events, and we'll go out to community places. Like if you're signing people up to vote, or if you're giving out physicals, or, you're doing something for the community. We believe that to be a part of parenting as a Black person, you need to be an active citizen. You have to be doing that work, because that's the type of culture that we have. is connected. And so we'll come out and provide children's programming for you if you're engaging the community. So like PTA meetings, all of that, Play Cousins Collective comes out and creates a village there so that you can come with your children as your whole self.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of Black families don't have access to civic engagement because no child care is available, right? So we eliminate that barrier. And then the Mazizi Homeschool Co-op is just another piece of that, manifesting that village. So many of the parents that were in the co-op, they said, I don't want to send my children to school. I don't want to send them into this system that is constantly statistically showing us that they do not care for our children. You know, they're not speaking to them. You saw 2 weeks in the way that our children are being spoken to, that you're just going to be another dead child. Did you see that news story?
Yes.
So we don't want that for our children. And we know that it's a privilege to have an opportunity not to send our children into that system. And so we're creating the Homeschool Co-op has an online program, a few online classes. We have some after school classes as well. And we partner with different community organizations to provide classes for our children.
So Mazizi actually is what it teaches women it provides them with homeschool information to help homeschool, correct?
Yeah, moms and dads. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Now tell us about support. Where do you get support from, and how can we support you, those who are listening?
So it was Cash App, just the $ Play Cousins. And you can go to our website, playcousinscollective.com, to learn more, to see our PayPal as Play Cousins as well. And you can also go to playcousinscollective.wildapricot.org to become a member of Play Cousins. So if you're living in Louisville and you want to know all the safe spaces and all the places where Black families are celebrated, and you don't want to miss any events, you can go there so that you can see and get connected.
And actually, my granddaughter goes to Play Cousins, and she loves y'all. You hear me? She talks about it all the time. So I support you, and definitely I'm going to advocate support for you, and my company is going to support you also in what you do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
we love you all. We love your granddaughter as well.
Yeah.
I just there's a way that we teach our teachers to speak to the children. And we feel that we have to speak to our children in a way that empowers them. And as Black families, I think that there's so much generational trauma that has come through, that we haven't had the time to really heal, that there's been an onslaught of oppression and systems that, are taking from us. Yes. And I feel that in this generation, there's so much focus on that healing. Play Cousins really focuses on what we can do as gentle child rearers. How can we speak life into our children? And just thinking about, if I'm speaking down to my child, what am I raising them up to become?
Wow.
Am I talking to my child as though I want them to grow up to become the janitor someplace? No shade to janitors, but we want our children to be able to dream big and to do all the things. But if we're talking down to them and raising them for subservitude, they're not going to be able to reach that.
That's correct.
There's a whole pedagogy that Play Cousins is really working on. And that is so much bigger than us, that we're so excited to partner with like Liberated Minds Homeschool Co-op, McFalls Academy, all the different places, anywhere. You're never going to hear me say, oh, send your children here and not there.
Correct.
We all, it's going to take all of us all over the chessboard, like Layla would say. Everybody got a role. Everybody got, a different power to flex. It's going to take all of us to get free.
Yeah. In fact, Skills for Life is what sent us to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. I'm excited. And I think that I feel like there's a new energy in Louisville where Black folks are really, coming together and recognizing. And when we think about the way that our community is being gentrified, it's really now or nothing. We have to start staking claim and we live in the most beautiful neighborhoods in Louisville. We have a wealth. Play Cousins, like Layla was talking about, that understanding that it's a universe thing. It's beyond that money. There's a wealth to us. We are the gold, and so recognizing that and start living in that and bringing that to fruition to where our children can see it and move about in it. And our money is moving in that way. That's where we're trying to get as a village. And I think we're getting there.
Awesome. How did you actually get into this field? What brought you? Because you got a lot of passion like Layla. How did you get here?
You know what? I just have a degree from the University of Louisville in sociology, and I'm biracial. And my mother, she would get me black dolls all the time and read me books with black children in it. And I think she was trying to kind of compensate, but I didn't recognize how. And I grew up with my black side of my family as well, so there was a balance there. But I didn't recognize how powerful that was until I would play with other black children. And I had a girlfriend come over when I was a young child, and she said she didn't want to play with my dolls. She was black like me, and she had a white Barbie doll. And I'm 32. I never forgot that, because it just, I couldn't believe that. And then I would go places with my mother and they would say, well, is that your mom? And there was so much strangeness around race that I found that, I could tell as a young child something was wrong. Something was off here, and I love Black culture. And I had that, my mother put it up on this thing and I was like, yes, I want that. So we've been doing Kwanzaa since my son was born. And after Trayvon Martin was murdered, I knew it was going to take a village. The old folks will say, when I was young, if I got in trouble at school, I got in trouble like 5 times before I got home, because I'm stopped at every corner, because so many people in the village know me, and in my neighborhood know me, right? But that's not true for most of our children out here.
Right. That's right.
They're alone, and it shouldn't be that way. None of us should be alone. No, mother shouldn't be alone. Father shouldn't be, like, everybody. This system that we're in isolates people.
That's right.
And that's how it works. I got to buy stuff in order to feel value.
What's some of the things y'all have in there? Don't you have? I think you have yoga. You got African dance. What else do you have that is you're teaching the kids, and they're getting definitely quality information and education?
Thank you. Yep. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's meant as a supplement to your homeschool education. From 9:30 to 5 o'clock, the youth come in, and at 9:45, we're doing the ancestor of the day. We begin by asking permission from the elders to begin. We pour libations, and then we talk about an ancestor of the day. Then they get into Decode, which is an amazing nonprofit here in Louisville that teaches children how to read. They'll do math with Layla. And then we get into free play. So we really believe that's when we talk about speaking to our children, speaking life into our children. We are serious about free play, which means that our children get to decide the way that they want to play. They create the game. They create situations where they interact with each other. And that's huge, because our children their bodies are policed in such a way that if they stand up in the classroom, or if they get too big or their voices are too loud, then they get sent out, right? They don't get to express and move. They don't get to, even if they go to the playground, they don't get to move the same way that other children do.
Wow.
And so we make sure that our children are able to have ownership of their bodies, ownership of their play, of their voices. And we put that time in there for them to flex those skills, right? And then we have art with Chantrice Martin. And Chantrice is over the Black Market. Y'all know where that Domino's is. It's a Black-owned grocery store. If y'all don't know that, please check it out, because it's amazing, the Black Market. And she's a trained artist, so she has a connection with the Speed Art Museum. And so
where's the Black Market at?
The Black Market's on Market Street. It's where the old Domino's used to be.
Yes, right there. I think it's 23rd Street, 23rd and Market Street.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, cool. It's amazing. Yeah. And then, we have art, and then we have African dance. And that's been done by Deja Cathy. And then Portia White is also going to assist us with that starting next week. And so those are both like classically trained dancers. And then we have, let's see, one more thing. Then we have movement activity. And so that has been yoga, but it's going to start being martial arts. And so you'll see we have different community folks who are coming in and leading programming for our youth. And we have Spanish as well with Ashley White. She's an educator at JCPS, and she comes on over. And so if your kid gets out at 2:30, we start some kind of after school classes or extracurricular classes at 4. So we have that movement on Tuesday, and we have Spanish on Thursday, right?
And you got music too, right? Piano and violin.
Yes, we have free piano and that's through Amped. That's courtesy of Amped. We're thankful for our partnership with them on Mondays and Wednesdays from 5 to 6. So at 5, the youth practice. At 5:30, they begin instruction. Okay. And that's for kids really like 4 and up. If they can focus, they can. If they can, stay on the piano, then they're welcome to come in, and we really believe in that at Play Cousins and just in our Mazizi Homeschool Co-op, that if your child is showing us that they're reading at a 6th grade level, then they need to be reading 6th grade level books. We're not going to limit your child. If they can do it, we want them to do it. And we have piano on with Nia Strings on Fridays at noon, from noon to 1.
Oh, it's Fridays. Okay. Gotcha. And the violin is what day?
It's Fridays from noon to 1.
Oh, violin is Friday and piano's Wednesday.
Mondays and Wednesdays.
Mondays, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. That is so awesome. So definitely shout out your Cash App again so people can hear it. And definitely I'm going to reach out and I'm gonna allow my company to do a lot of supporting, even though my baby's going there, because I want to see y'all survive and thrive.
Thank you. Yes, you could. It's just $ Play Cousins. That's what I love about our name, because if you are, brought up within the African American culture, when you hear Play Cousins, you know what it is. Already. Yeah. And I explained it to some other folks, but it's great that we have, because what we're doing is not new. We're building on a legacy that our grandmothers and grandfathers and ancestors have always done, is connect with one another. When there's a lack, if you sell my family member or there's a break in our family, we create. We're going to have family always. So I'm thankful for y'all today.
Do y'all have a website?
Yeah, playcousinscollective.com. And to be a member, you can go to playcousinscollective.wildapricot.org and become an official member of Play Cousins Collective.
Okay, gotcha.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, this has been fantastic having you on the show. And I mean, it's amazing to see you and Layla's connection, because I hear nothing but passion when I hear you, when I hear her. And I feel like that's what's missing, because I feel like in traditional public schools, a lot of teachers have, in a sense, been dumbed down because they're not allowed to teach in the manner in which they believe would truly work, especially for our children. And with that being said, they don't have that same passion and drive as what I hear from you all. And when I look at John Ya's granddaughter and how well-mannered she is and such like that, then if that's a fruit of what comes from you all's tree, then absolutely everybody needs to hit up playcousinscollective.com and tap that Cash App. Once again, say it one more time, $Play Cousins. Folks, y'all know what it is, $Play Cousins. Listen, if 1,000 of y'all out there sit there and hit the Cash App, all right, that right there is going to be some big help. So folks, y'all need to do it. Kristen, we appreciate having you on the show. Go ahead.
I have one more question. During the pandemic, what did you see? Did you see more parents, parents concerned about wanting to do more? Have your business model changed any new ideals because of the pandemic? New parents reaching out. What do you say to that?
Yes, we do Our Story in Science. I think I missed that part, but both those classes are virtual. So during the pandemic, we saw families that we took all of our curriculum virtual last spring, summer, and now we're continuing that. Okay. So we have a history class where the children do arts and crafts together virtually, and we do science where they do science projects together. That's every Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
It is amazing what you're doing. I wish, I could have got my kids in a school like that. Short story, one of my sons, when he was in the 3rd grade, the teacher humiliated him and got him to read and kept getting him to read in front of the class, knowing that he could not read well, and embarrassed him. And it caused him to hate school. And that's one thing I like about what you and Layla are doing. It causes them to love school. Once you hate school, you shut off education and you shut off your education. So that happened to him for the rest of his life. And he, ended up in prison and just got in trouble. And the thing about it was the teacher said that he, back then they labeled all our kids ADD and all that stuff. So we took him to a psychiatrist or psychologist, whatever. And they said he does not have ADD. He said, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to give him a placebo drug. Now, it's not going to affect the child, but he's going to tell the teacher that he's on this medication. The very next day, when he got to school and the teacher had been informed, the teacher said, oh, wow, look at you. Here's the good John Doe. Where's the bad John Doe? And when I told the psychologist, he said it would take 2 weeks for Ritalin to take effect. And she saw an effect the next day. It shows who was the one that, had the problem. And the thing I like about what you and Layla are doing is you build the esteem of Black kids, because we will work at our level of esteem, but public school, it dumbs down that esteem and they perform at that level of esteem. So when you raise their level of esteem, then they will stand taller. They will function at that level of esteem. And I am so glad to hear what you're doing.
Thank you. That's such a crazy story, and it's so common. My brother, he was put on, they told him that he had ADD and they tried to use medication, and eventually he got off it, thank God. He's at Princeton now. He studies genetics. He doesn't have it. It's not an issue. The issue is that though that system does not fit the Black culture, our Black bodies, our energy, it just doesn't. What happens, they did a study on teachers, and they said they were tracking. They said they asked the teacher, look at the classroom. We're going to do a study where we're examining the children's behavior, right? And then they looked at the teacher's eyes, and they watched as the teacher's eyes followed the Black children throughout the class, trying to find out what was happening, right? And so, that's the situation. It's not even just the situation that our children are in. You have to think about the Black educators who are in the system as well, and how they're watering down and editing themselves and really trying to raise the Black children that are in that space to cut pieces of themselves away, riddle them down to where they can fit into this white culture that isn't really working out for anybody, isn't working out for our earth. When you think about all the pollution and all the, all of that, we have to go back to indigenous knowledge. And it's not something that only Black folks know. People who live in tune with the earth, that's some, there are white people who are indigenous. They need to get back to it. We all have to get back to that. What's we can be thankful about is that Black families and our Black culture, there is a continuation of that indigenous knowledge. When we were coming up, we would trade vegetables back. You have a garden, I have a garden. You got kale, I got okra. Let's switch. This is something that is not new to us. It's beyond our control because it's in our genetics, and that's something we can be proud about and stop waiting for white people to say, hey, your neighborhood's really nice. Or, look at that. Did you know breastfeeding is good for you? I can go and pay a white woman to show me how to breastfeed, how to carry my child on my back, all these different things that are ancestral to me.
Exactly.
Right. But I have to wait before before I would be paying for formula. I got to wait for them to figure it out. No, we are the answers.
Wow.
So how do we start living like that and really looking for and giving language to the ways, that we continue to survive? We're here for a reason. We here for a reason for real. We need to start looking around at how it is that we survive this mess.
Exactly. I believe that so much. At this exact time, we are here to experience this for a reason, because this time was going to come, right? And we're going to need people like yourself and I to where we can join together and fight this, because if it wasn't for us, it would just go on as usual. You got to have those who are resistant, who are going against it. And you are absolutely right. I feel you in that 100%.
Hey, Kristen, here's a good story. I heard about this study. There was a classroom of, let's say, 30 kids, and they brought the teacher in and told the teacher, said, hey, this group of students, they're poor grades. They get Fs. This group is the average. And over here, these are your A students. And so she went through the school year, and at the end, when they tested out, yep, these got A's, these got average grades, and these kids failed. The thing was, they were all average students. It was the teacher that was being tested.
That's right.
She gave special attention to the A students, and she didn't even want to answer questions to the failures. And so the teacher created the whole classroom. And that's why I love what you're doing, because you guys are creating, you know, successful kids, successful Black kids, you know, raising them up to where they should be so that they can soar with the eagles. I think it's an awesome thing that you're doing.
Yeah. That's a whole other parable too, is the chicken and the eagle.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you heard that? Man, we do that every Kwanzaa. And I hope that you all will join us for Kwanzaa. We'll be at Roots 101. But that's the biggest thing, is really recognizing that our children are being raised thinking that they're chickens and they're eagles. And they have to start acting like it and manifesting that and knowing from birth, you know, who they are. And we talk about that all the time when parents are sending their children into JCPS. They need to show up with their child and tell the teacher who their child is before they can tell them. You know what I mean? I'm coming in. My son is a scientist. My son loves to play the piano. You know, I'm going to pour it on so that, you know, I believe in my child, and I expect you to believe in my child and recognize their needs. That's the least that you can do if your child is in a system like that. You have to tell them. And also study white supremacy culture. There's a lot of studies right now coming out of this term white supremacy culture. And there's these tenets of how white supremacy culture operates. Now, if you're not in a place of privilege to where you can fight white supremacy culture, you need to get with somebody who can. Like, for example, in white supremacy culture, they have a love for the written word, right? A worship of the written word. That means that if something is happening, if the teacher is saying, oh, well, Johnny is doing that, you caught the teacher in a lie or whatever it is, you need to document it. For us, that's not our first inclination. My first inclination is to come down and to talk to you. You know, I'm a communal person. My culture is that we're going to be, you know, I want to feel the energy. I want to come and be face to face with you. That's not how it works. You have to write an email out. If you're at the doctor's office and the doctor says, no, I'm not going to give you this medicine, and your first inclination is to be quiet because you're scared. No. I would like for you to put that into my report.
Oh, wow. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Maybe I will give you that medicine now. Right.
Because now you're talking about
operates.
Yeah, now you're talking about understanding that this is their monopoly board. This is their playing field, and we need to learn how to operate in it properly.
Wow.
So
what you
just said,
Layla and I have a different energy and a different passion and a different way that we move in space, because we don't have to push ourselves into white spaces every day. You know what I mean? So we can talk a little bit louder. We're moving a lot bigger. You know, we're loving our children without fear and raising them. You know what I mean? All of that is because we're free, and it's a privilege, and we're honored and thankful for that. And what we can do is learn about the system so we can carve out, not so we can just survive and get by, but so that we can create space for us to live in and be our full selves. So I can tell them, I know that your system operates like this, but when I have power, I can say, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to sit in a circle instead. We're not going to have this linear platform. We're going to share power. You know, all of there's so many intricacies in the way that they operate that is actually harmful. And it's not harmful only to Black folks and marginalized people, but really everybody is marginalized. Even white rich men are depressed and committing suicide, right? So we have to really look at what's happening and get back to ancestral ways.
That's interesting what you just said, because I just thought about that. You know, out of all I remember, the 2008, 2009 recession, quote unquote, you know, they were talking about millionaires or billionaires that, committed suicide because they became millionaires. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I don't remember none of them being Black.
Yeah.
Rich white men that kill themselves. You know, something you said earlier I love where you said, if we talk down to our kids, then what are we raising them up to be? You know, that right there resonates with me because, you know, I mean, you walk in different spaces, different sides of towns, and just, you know, maybe out and about, and you hear it. You hear the mother, the father speaking in a way, you know, like I don't sit and just frivolously curse or say cuss words around my kids. You know, I don't play that type of music around them because I don't believe, you know, that it's anything that's there to help them, right? It's just something that I don't do. But when I see other people do it and I see them cuss at their kids and yelling at them to discipline or what have you, which in this day and age, what I see more than anything, I see actual people just yelling instead of actually doing any real discipline, any constructive disciplining. They just yelling at the kids and whatnot. But you know, again, when you're talking down to your kids, what are you raising them up to be? And a lot of parents in this day and age are doing more talking down to their kids and then scratching their heads later on when they show up, you know, in that egregious manner out in society.
Yeah, we on September 16th and monthly, we do a gentle child rearing training where we talk about ancestral methods of healing and resilience within parenting. We look at, you know, I'm not sure if y'all have heard this or not, but research, and this might blow your minds, some of y'all listening, but research shows that before colonization, we did not beat our children. That's not our.
Oh, that's a fact. No, that's a fact. That's right.
So, you know, we believe that our children they were reincarnated. They were our ancestors rebirthed. They may in some places in Africa, they believe that, you know, this could have been a God rebirthed. So if I were to strike my child and that soul might leave, they may choose not to be, you know, it's a gift for this child to be here, right? It's not our way to beat our children.
That's right.
But you know, it's hard. It's hard to get away from that. Have you seen Joy DeGruy's post-traumatic slave syndrome? Because
nope, we're writing it down.
if you're all these years we were enslaved, and then the oppression that happened after that, the oppression that continues today. Sorry, my board is starting to text me. They're listening in. But Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about how, you know, all of this oppression happens, and what PTSD is. So the signs of PTSD, one of the signs is exaggerated startle response, right? And so if I grow up and I have or my mother has exaggerated startle response, I may not have had a traumatic thing happen to me, but I learn from my parents how I'm supposed to respond to things, right? So, and it's not just exaggerated startle response. There's all these different forms of PTSD, the way that it manifests in you. And if there was no collective healing this entire time, all these years of suffering, no reparations, none of that, you know, that trauma is still within us. And I always, during my training, we talk about how if you imagine yourself in a white bank, you come in, the walls are white, there's a white porcelain floor, and there's statues and things, and there's this beautiful plant in a very fragile vase. And your child, you're standing in line with your little baby, and they start to walk off over there toward the plant, and they start to get into the dirt, right? And they're moving around, they're being kind of loud, and everybody else is standing quietly, and they're dressed nicely, and they're in line. What happens inside of you as a parent? You know, you see kind of people kind of shifting in their seats, because in your mind as a parent, something breaks inside. Everything inside of you tells you to go and snatch that child up, to restrain them and to make them small and to make them quiet. Every day, our children are waking up in America, and they are made to feel that way from the moment they wake up in the morning to when they go back to sleep. And we have got to start making space for our children to be heard. Because what happens when you become an adult, you have no critical thinking skills.
Wow.
When the police officer stops you, I have to run. right? I have no way to communicate with authority in a healthy fashion. I have no way to feel authority over my body and over my thoughts. I've been raised not to tap into my emotions, right? All of that. Our children are suffering. We as adults are suffering. That's why we have Brother Healing Brother and Soul Sister, for us to parent ourselves first. We have to parent our inner children, because we have no right, no ability to raise our children well.
Wow,
Man,
that's heavy.
You are. This is just been jewels on jewels on jewels dropped.
Yes.
I feel like we should do this show again on a Sunday and just preach. I mean, Lord.
Hey, do you have
No, that was heavy.
I don't have a YouTube channel.
You need one.
What came to me is just like what you just said, all the jewels and nuggets, create videos and make it so that it appeals to children. And it's something that across the nation, around the world, Black people can get their kids to watch that may not have a school like yours.
No, we do have Black Book Joy on Wednesdays. Our board member, Michelle Penix, she's a retired principal, and she reads Black stories to children, and we do arts and crafts together. Yes, and I have a couple of them too on our Facebook page for sure.
Is that on video or?
They're videos.
Okay. Is that a YouTube channel?
It's not on YouTube. It's on our Facebook. And then if you join our membership site, that we have lessons and videos in the content on our member site. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Michelle, I see you're in the comments section there. If you can post the membership site in the comments section, that would be great as well. We appreciate you. I see her here. What is this? Parent on inner children. Yes, unregulated adults responsible for our children. That's awesome. That is amazing. So you got a fantastic team out there that is they're supporting you, the school, the kids, everything. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Michelle is actually working. We are working together to try to get. We have all these different homeschool co-ops that are running, which is great, and we can continue that way. But we want to collectively start thinking about what would it take for us to build a school, and who all would be interested in doing that. And for the folks that want to stay out there, we'll support them out there as well. But we want to do all that we can collectively.
Exactly. So we should probably, John, I would love to set up, a stream. What we do here, take some of what you do, in the school, and maybe we video it, put it out there publicly, the stuff that is okay, publicly as well. But or when you guys are doing stuff, live on Facebook, or when you're putting up videos, just make sure that we know so that we can share it as well to our pages also, because you, Layla, what you guys are doing is something that it needs to be, that this needs to be a national thing. Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. We definitely extend our page to to support you and everything. So yeah, that's a great idea, Joe.
All those videos that you have now, you should just get a YouTube channel and post it, and just let it organically grow. Another story, I got another story for you. When I was in the Air Force, I was working on the F-4 Phantom jet. That was high tech at the time. They're up to like F-36 now, I believe. So it was a long time ago. But we had sold some of these jets to Israel, and they were doing things with it that we couldn't do, or the plane was not designed to do. They're making 90-degree turns in the air, doing all kind of stuff. So we sent a delegation over there to find out what modifications they made to the plane, and found out there was just minor modifications, nothing to do with what it was doing though. But what we did find out is that their pilots, their feet never touched the ground. They walked on red carpet wherever they went. They were treated like kings. We perform at our level of self-esteem. And that's why I'm so impressed at what you're doing, because like Joe was saying earlier, when they shout at a child, they break their spirit and they make their level of esteem go down. Now they feel inadequate. And when you guys build that esteem up, I mean, how long have you been doing it? Do you have any graduate success stories?
We know my son, we started with basically, we've been doing it for like 4 years.
Okay.
The homeschool co-op is 4 years old, and Play Cousins Collective is like about 5 years old. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm looking for great things.
Thank you. Yeah, we can't wait for our babies to grow up. And we, let me, before I have to tell you all too, we are recruiting for our Rites of Passage program. And they can go to Louisville Rites of Passage. It's RITES, rightsofpassage.org. And they can sign their child up if they're 16 to 8, I should say they're youth or young adults, 16 to 18 years old. This program is going to take them through February, from September to February. We're meeting once a week on Tuesdays or a Saturday, where they're going to go through really almost like an initiation. You know, we're going to work with our elders. We're going to be out in the forest. There's going to be, you know, I'm not going to give it out because they have to go through things and they have to gain knowledge on their ancestors and really learn about the history of Louisville. But, you know, the whole point of this Rites of Passage program, and one of the reasons why we're suffering, is because we are isolated. And the youth especially, we sometimes will meet a youth and they'll say, what do I need African heritage for? Why? For what? Right? They have no value to our history. And they're isolated not only in their frame of mind, but from time and from space. They're just disjointed from the space-time continuum entirely. So they don't know the history of this land and why they're being treated the way they are at school and you know, where they are at all. You know, they don't, it's just crazy, the disconnect with our youth. And when you think about the violence and the things that they're suffering from, they're lost, you know, in every sense of the word. And we have to do, it's our responsibility as adults to get in connection with them, to greet them when we see them passing us, not to feel fearful, you know. So I need help to recruit for that program because our program is so young and it's grown with just the younger children as they get older.
Hey,
you know?
Joe, that sounds like that's part of the program. We may want to go ahead on and join with them on with being a mentor for these kids. I do a thing with Layla once a year. Her students come to my warehouse and we do a business thing in my warehouse with her kids and stuff like that. So we do that once a year. I would definitely be more than glad to join with you on Louisville's Rites of Passage.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that's in partnership too with Bridge Kids International and Burnham Forks and Roots 101 and Martin and Muir. Yeah, and so now yes, John, yes.
I am president of a local chapter of CARES, National CARES Mentoring Movement, which is headed by Susan Taylor, exiting editor-in-chief of Essence Magazine. And, you know, I think that we can create some type of partnership as well. We have mentoring circles that is being implemented in Marvin Elementary coming up here soon, because their numbers are just, you know, very low. And we are interjecting that program in with them just the same. So I want to figure out how, again, we can support, like John said, just the same with that program that you guys are doing as well. So we'll figure some of that out and talk more about it off the phone here, because this is something, I mean, honestly, you blew my mind when you started talking about studying white supremacy. And
yeah, that was heavy.
That right there, that should be a class in and of itself, because that right there will help. That has to do with someone getting stopped by the police and knowing how to properly react, understanding that that's not the place and time to react aggressively or egregiously. That's the place and time to, again, like you said, document, make it home or to jail safe, and then we will fight that battle properly on their playing field.
Right. Because for my thing is that as a Black person, I may want somebody that's in this culture. I want to have an emotional connection with you. So I might start telling you about what's going on with me, or, you know, I might try to establish some emotional. It's not going to work. That's not how this system works. Right. But you have to know that first. And that's the hardest part about it. Yeah, we have to study that. It should be a class.
You said something.
That in our workshop, we do look at the tenets of it, and we look at it from a parenting perspective. But every person that interacts with white supremacy culture, which is anybody who lives in America, has to study that, has to know.
One of the things you mentioned that kind of brought something to my mind about what I talk about is stop telling young boys that not to cry, only girls cry, and not knowing that crying is actually releasing toxins through the eyes. To make them hold that in only make them bitter. They are supposed to release those toxins when they upset. They are supposed to show their emotions. That's why we have these emotions, so we can release these toxins out of us. By telling a young boy, don't you cry, only girls cry, you're telling him to hold in his emotion, and then it blows up when he's a grown up. Then he's shooting up stores and shit.
Yeah, he has no ability to think. So we have a calm down corner. So the child is having a hard time regulating their emotions in class. Let's they're being disrespectful. They need some connection. Let's take them to the calm down corner. Maybe first they need some time for themselves. When they're calmed down, okay, let's talk about it. We need to read a story. Maybe when you're by yourself, you have some different things like some sensory items something you can manipulate in your hands. But our children need to be able to connect to their bodies and to connect to their emotions, and so often they're taught not to do that, which is frightening.
Kristen, I see. I don't know if that's Layla, the comment that you must know your enemy. I'm not sure what she's saying. Who is the enemy, and are they the enemy? Whoever it is, what's the enemy?
I think that first, I want to say that there is a diversity of thought within our community that is healthy, that we don't always have to agree, and no, we don't always have to, I think that what is necessary, we focus on our youth. And so as for me, if you were to ask me who the enemy is, there certainly is a spiritual war going on.
Exactly.
But I think that it's beyond skin color. I think that it's definitely into a system, just greed, I almost feel like, and being selfish, right? I think we make decisions every day about the way that we treat our environment that are selfish. I think just all of that. I think that indigenous knowledge, I think that we have to be careful, because when you look at white supremacy, one of the tenets of white supremacy is either or thinking, right? That it has to be, is black and white. And also duality, right? So this is the bad guy and this is the good guy. But when you look at like West African theology, there's all these, all the deities and God, it's just not this either or, devil and angel,
Yeah.
There's people out there to help us and guide us. Our ancestors are there to guide us. That methodology, I hear more so when you start talking Western African.
That's why I'm thinking that when you look at people as your enemy, it makes it confrontational. And because if I'm faced with my enemy, it's either or,
I think Layla would agree with me too. When we look at it like a chessboard, every person you meet has a role to play. And I have a purpose. I have a mission. Every person has a mission right now, whether or not they're in their Nia and standing in their purpose is them. But what I can do is discern how are they, what are they doing and how are they operating, right? And how can I use that to my advantage? Because I'm trying to get across this board and get kinked, period. Like I don't want to I have to deal with everybody, and we have to deal with everybody because we're in this system,
And that's the thing that gets me sometimes, because I'm biracial, as you had mentioned you are. And I saw my first Kwanzaa at a Black church, and I'm sitting in the church and they had the black candles up there that they light for Kwanzaa, and everybody around in the church was black, melanin. I'm black, but skin black. And they said the candles represent the color of their skin. It was black candles. And so I looked around with nobody else in that church like me. I told them, I said, I tell you what, if you light that candle, I guarantee you it's going to burn high yellow like me. I just want to be included.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Hey,
I mean, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, Dad, I didn't know you were biracial, so I had no clue.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
glad
yeah.
I didn't see
Yeah,
bisexual.
one of the things, let me address this thing about what we call the enemy. See, the problem here is that the enemy is elusive. And so when you say you can't point the finger, racism is elusive. Everybody's going to cover and hide up under the rock. But here's the enemy. The enemy is the one that is all against nature, trying to take seeds out of foods, trying to destroy the water, trying to destroy the air, trying to force people to take vaccines. The enemy is the pharmaceutical companies that are spending billions of dollars in lobbyists to keep you ill, to keep you sick. These are the people that are the enemies. The enemies is someone that's trying to keep you from being able to survive or getting higher than minimum wage. So you can describe the enemy as anybody that's oppressing you, even if it's a system that you can't really point at, but you know the system is out there. So we can continue to go blind and act like it don't exist, but we do know that there's a force out here. And so I try to teach not to focus on the force more than focus on your ability to manifest, because that will remove it. We cannot act like that there is not a force out here trying to stop a people from surviving or trying to push. Look at what's going on in the schools today. It's very interesting. I was on a great talk about allowing kids to make their own choices. I'm gonna tell you the hypocrisy of that, meaning make their own choices at 12 years old to get the vaccine. So when they're doing this, that every child should have their own right. Well, let me tell you who the enemy is. The enemy is the person that's in public school telling kids, you're not a boy, you a girl. Wait a minute, I teach my child he's a boy, right? Who are you to go in here and go against my teachings in my home? And so it's like this. And someone said, well, children should have a right to choose. I said, well, okay, at 12 years old. And this is where it killed it at. Okay, if the child 12 years old says, hey, I don't want to go to school no more, now the parent is going to jail, you see. So we cannot allow them to creep this information in and then act like it's all okay. You cannot tell me that it's okay to tell a 12-year-old that a boy, a male who's identified as I teach him, and then you go into school and you tell him, oh, you ain't got to be a boy. That's the enemy. So we got to describe it through the philosophy and what they're trying to teach, more so than look at the color of a person's skin, because there's a lot of black people agree with that shit too, right? And so there's a lot of black people that are involved in connecting with, just like there was a lot of black people, doctors, who was trying to convince black people to take the vaccine, which was the Tuskegee experiment, right? So no, we got to understand that there is an enemy. There is a people out here that is against life, that is against you trying to live healthy. If you look at the food system, we're having foods now that is lacking nutrition. This is why we have diabetes on the rise, right? Because we got McDonald's and they're not teaching people. They would rather for you to stay sick than to be healed. So those are the enemies, and we got to identify that and quit acting like they don't exist.
John, yeah, I love your definition of the enemy. Even now, I'm not a religious person, but even the Bible says in Revelations, the Bible says that God is going to destroy those who destroy the earth. So that shows what you were saying. That's the enemy, those who destroy the earth. We are earth also. Our body is earth. Those that destroy the earth, the Bible says God's going to destroy them. So yeah, I love your definition of enemy. Thank you.
Yeah,
I think that gender is a spectrum, but I also think that diversity of thought is necessary for us as a people. And I think that if we're able to focus on our basic needs and becoming free and independent of, there is an actual system in place, right, that is separating us and that is taking our children out of our homes through CPS, that is putting McDonald's on every corner and Dollar General at every corner. And I think for me, I've been thinking more and more about capitalism. And my sister the other day, she told me there's this concept of yes, capitalism has its, is problematic, and capitalism is not something that is completely owned by Eurocentric thought. Like we had markets, before we sold things before. So it doesn't have to be the root of all evil that we sell things to one another, right? Cooperative economics is in Nguzo Saba. So how do I deal with that? So I think that we have to be open to taking what is for us and using it to benefit us. And so I don't know. I think it's just worth it to say that, because, I got the vaccine, and there are people in my family who didn't get the vaccine, and I want the vaccine to be accessible to people. And I know that some people don't want to take it, and I wouldn't try to force anybody to, I just think it's important for us to be transparent and to use our voices to express what our thoughts are. There has to be a way for us to communicate in a healthy way. And the issue in Louisville too, Black Louisville is so divided because of the way that all of this money is old money. All the land is owned by people that used to own slaves. There's a few people. There's all these old street names, and there's a few families that are running a lot of stuff in Louisville, and so that makes us fight with one another for that funding. And so I have to be over here and say this, and you have to be over here and say that, and then we have to divide and see who's gonna survive. And I'm not gonna do that with nobody. You think what you think, and we're gonna figure out where we agree and what role we have to play with one another, because I need you. You my play cousin at the end of the day. And I want us both to live.
Love it.
Awesome.
At the end of the day, you my play cousin. And we all connected to the earth.
And we've lost enough of us. And that's why I need a play cousin, because some of us are not here anymore to be my family. Right? So we created from nothing a play cousin.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, again, I want to keep spitting it out and keep spitting it out so that people get it. Once again, we're going to hit you with the Cash App. You got Cash App or the $ Play Cousins. All right. Listen, $1.50, whatever you want to say, folks, I saw something the other day. Somebody said something like, you got tons of Jordans in your crib, but you don't own a house. Right. Again, folks, we spend money on all type of frivolous things all the time, things that don't make sense, things that don't move us forward in life. Truly, spend some money helping ourselves and our kids and our people. This is one way to do it. There's an energy in giving. There's an energy in supporting and saying, you know what, I'm going to take this money and I'm going to put it out to the universe, because it does come back to you tenfold. So with that in mind, folks, give. You got $ Play Cousins. You got $ Educate to Liberate.
Boom. Yeah.
There you go. There you go, Pops. She's already sending some money. So let's do it. Yeah. Educate to Liberate. $. That's Layla's homeschool there. Again, $ Educate, the number 2 Liberate. Right. And then you got $ Play Cousins right here for Play Cousins Collective. Folks, this has been an absolute fantastic after show that we've had here. And we definitely have to still get you on the radio as well. So we're going to have to bring you back to have you on the first part of the show also. And, John, let's get together. Let's figure some things out, that we can do. I would love to figure out how to bring National Cares Mentoring Movement, and which our local branch is called Derby City Cares. So with that in mind, I'd love to figure out how to work that in as well, so that we all can be working together. Because the one issue, with us being so non-monolithic is there's like 10 of us all doing the same thing, right? And that's fine, but we need to figure out how to work together better because we all want to accomplish the same things. We just want better for our people, and we want better for society at large, because if our people are doing great, society does even better. So that is absolute truth right there. And it's been fantastic, Kristen, having you on the show. So please let's figure out how we can get you on the radio show once again, and we'll do that part as well.
I can talk to you guys all day long.
There you
Thank
go.
you so much. Thank you all. We
I was
need
like,
this.
man, let me get my Cash App out because y'all, you know what? I'm using my phone for the video. So as soon as this is over with, I'm doing the Cash App too.
I want to say too that it's hard to disagree and it's hard to have differences, but I feel like that's what's so beautiful. Like, I think that that's what makes us so powerful. Like if you look at kente cloth, like all the different patterns that are there, you know, you just cannot, we can't live in the same mindset as colonizers and have everything be black and white, that it has to be messy, right. There has to be conflict for us to be family. And that's how you know if I'm your family or not. If I were to sit here and just say, oh yeah, give me the money, you know what I mean? Then that means I'm not your family. But if you're gonna fight with me, if you're gonna talk to me and communicate, that means you love me.
That's right.
You know, and I'm not sitting here saying that I'm right at all. What I'm saying is that this is what my understanding is. And I want to know what your understanding is. And then we're going to come together because I definitely believe in the sovereignty of my child's body and my child's, authority over themselves. But I also believe, it's important that we protect the innocence and all of that about my child. So there's so many things that we agree on. And we have to, if there wasn't diversity, then I feel like it's easier for us to miss things. But when there's diversity, we can really talk in depth about these different things and come up with, well, we know this point here, we agree on this and we disagree on this, but this is a landing place for us or an anchor for us. And one thing I know is that our children have to be that anchor, that no matter what we say, if you're safe around our children, then you're safe for Play Cousins Collective. But if you can't parent your inner child and be gentle with our children and come in here and be vulnerable and kind and loving to one another, then this may not be the space for you. And everybody can't come through that door, because it's difficult. But I think that once you're in there, if you're able to, we have to talk. And as adults, we have to do that work we got to get messy, basically.
And it's having the ability to get messy. And then even if you don't come to a full-blown agreement on something, we can agree to disagree on that and find other ways and other things to do to work together. That's something that John Yah said probably in the beginnings of us even working together and creating a friendship is, I don't have to always agree with everything that a person is doing, but there might be doing something else that I do agree with, and I can support them in that. And I say this all the time, to my kids. I say it to a girlfriend. Look, I don't just walk around randomly telling this, that, and the other person, here, do this in order to do better. Or, I can support you with doing this. I don't walk around randomly doing it. I do that to the people, I do it to you, to the kids, because I love you. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to build you up. So don't fight me. Society right now has people believing that if I'm here to reprimand, or if I'm speaking against, or if I'm saying things to try to build you, and it may not be something that you're feeling at the moment. Society tells people that, oh, that's a problem. That person doesn't love you. That person doesn't like you. No, it's the other way around.
Right.
I see random people all the time, and somebody digging in the trash, or somebody doing this, that, somebody doing something. I don't always walk up to that random person and say, hey, listen, here's how you can do better. This, that. No, but these people that are right here in my circle that I love, that I'm trying to build, these kids, the girlfriend, all that stuff, the wife, that's where those are the people that we love. So we're trying to build them up. So, as we speak that, then I love what's being said here. And I'm sitting here, when I do this, when I'm rubbing my face like this, I'm thinking. And so my mind is I'm thinking hard about a lot of what was said. And I definitely believe that white supremacy thing should be a class, because
you should join us on September 16th.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Gonna be virtual. It's always powerful, because you'll look, it's just crazy because so often we think of Black parents as not doing this and not doing that. But trauma, we have to start separating what is trauma and what is an ancestral method of healing and resilience. What we're here for a reason. What are those reasons? You know, so I mean, I would really love for you to join us, to anybody listening to this.
Absolutely. We will drop and that's going to be on your Facebook page, correct?
No, it'll be a private Zoom. So they'll have to register through our through playcousinscollective.wildapricot.org. And they'll see that on there, and then they can register. Mm-hmm.
That's what I was trying to get someone to post in the comments.
In our chat, our private chat, if you want to.
Yeah, I can't take it from there to the comments, but we will later, unless Ebonic or Ebony NC or Michelle Penix post it right here in the comments right now. But yes, we will get that posted in the comments just the same. And man, love you, sis. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I tell you what, folks.
One quick thing. Love about being able to have a debate and you not having to be wrong for me to be right. You
right.
know,
yes, and
yeah, people can't have discussions about religion or politics because I have to be wrong for you to be right, and you have to be wrong for me to be right. No, we can just have an exchange of ideas.
That's right.
And walk away after that.
Yeah, and that's white supremacy culture functioning in our conversation if we can't do that. Yeah. You know, that it has to be this or that. No, it doesn't. And that we are not supposed to be emotional. You know, all of that. We should have, bring me on again and let's just talk about the different tenets of white supremacy culture.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. You know, we need, you know what, let's make sure, hey, next week, let's do it again. And let's do it again. And we definitely, again, have you on the radio portion as well, because that's a potential 150,000 listeners. So we need to, get them this information from you just the same. And maybe we'll have you on for the last 15 minutes of the show next week. And then we'll move right into the after show once again, where we have a little more freedom to speak and talk. John took some liberties this morning and got real free with his speech earlier, which was funny. But I don't think anybody had a problem with it. We haven't heard anything from the FTC yet. So we're all good. But either way, I love it. I love the conversation. We can definitely continue to talk about this. And you know what? What I would love to do would be maybe even let's take some situations that we've seen. We've seen some situations here recently online, that have been shared, Facebook, this, that, and the other in some of the local schools here in Louisville. Let's take some of these situations and break them down and talk about how we can do better with some of that and what maybe could have been done different in order to create a better result. With some of those situations. I think that would be cool as well, because, making it relatable to the general public as well, with things that they see and are hearing about and going through every day, and how this homeschool teaching can master that. So again, we'll have you on again next week if you're available, and we appreciate it. And once again, folks, this has been another episode of the Tipping Point Morning Show after show. All right. And we will get this shared through many, many different groups throughout the week. And as always, the viewership will rise all throughout the week. So those that are watching right now, please hit the share button. Your groups that you're in, your different Facebook pages, all that stuff, share it. Because this is conversation that needs to be had, heard, all that good stuff. Anybody want to say anything before we bounce real quick?
I'm thankful. I'm grateful. Thank you all.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Once again, it's been another episode of the Tipping Point Morning Show. We will see you next Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.
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 You are listening to The Tipping Point Show with your host, Mr. Just Ask Joe, John. Yeah. right here on WLOU. Stream it live on Facebook and WLOUonline.com. And now, The Tipping Point Show.